The rain drummed on the roof of the three-story colonial like it meant to scrub decades from the weathered yellow brick. Nancy stood before the bedroom armoire, her arthritic fingers gripping the mahogany door. The scent of Paco Rabanne punched through the years. 8 since Michael's passing, yet his cologne still clung to wool coats like ghostly aftershave. She slammed the door shut, a chipped handle catching her thumbnail. "Hate this damn thing," she muttered, wiping her palm on the Talbots' tweed skirt she'd bought for that awful 2014 Christmas gala. 3 Noritake teacups waited by the Carrara marble range, their gold rims tarnished. Nancy poured boiling water into the stained Mr. Coffee carafe, watching grounds swirl like tempestuous dancers. "Time's not your wingman, sweetheart," Dr. Meyer had said last week, squinting at her knee X-ray. She bit her lip, smearing raspberry jam across whole-grain toast. A sudden laugh escaped her. These days, she craved anything that crunched between her teeth. "Mom, our Zoom's at 10?" The smart speaker's voice startled her. Sarah always called precisely on fifth Sundays, checking off elderly parent check-in like some corporate KPI. Nancy brushed silver strands from her face, catching her mother's ghost in the microwave's reflection. "I'm not some storage unit you inventory quarterly," she wanted to snap, but asked instead, "Will your brother join?" Keyboard clatter answered, "Evans in Phoenix. He'll mail a card." She sipped lukewarm coffee. Rain softened to drizzle. "Honey, do you ever visit that toy store near your office? The one with wooden puzzles? Mom, gotta run. Conference call in 5. Sundays aren't PWO days for those funding your retirement community." When silence replaced Sarah's voice, Nancy leaned toward the tablet. Her breath fogged the camera. "Wanted to ask what weight RC helicopters can hang from ceilings these days," she whispered, wiping condensation from the dark screen. The garage smelled of linseed oil and abandonment. A box labeled "Keep Till April," 2003's decluttering ultimatum, vomited childhood artwork onto concrete. Nancy stepped on Evan's third-grade watercolor, Mom with umbrella, all crooked smile and radioactive yellow raincoat. "My bad, Mama," she joked in her son's teenage drawl, sweeping broken frame glass. Her apron pocket buzzed. Bank notification. Current balance. $108,215. Inglea's early retirement withdrawal penalty. She stared numbly, hearing Michael call their savings the hearth of security. His secretary's name had been fire-adjacent, too. Cindy Blaze. A stack of Hallmark anniversary cards slithered free as she reached for Grandpa's toolbox. Chisels clattered, startling the mouse colonizing the workbench. "You don't belong here either," Nancy murmured, studying liver spots mapping New England across her hand, just like Evan's fourth-grade geography project. Lunch at La Petite Boulangerie unfolded as usual. Caesar sans anchovy, Chardonnay, Architectural Digest absorbing book club chatter. Bob bought a Tesla. Rita, thrice divorced, twice Botoxed, spat romaine as she spoke. Nancy nodded, scattering croissant flakes across an article about Sandy Hook lofts. "Are steel beams trendy in Switzerland now?" she asked abruptly, pulse quickening at exposed ductwork photos. The coven paused, waiting for their audience prop to reset. Home again, Nancy texted, "Sal, gallery tomorrow?" The message hung in blue limbo like fireflies trapped in mason jars. Sarah replied 6 hours later, "Locked in, 2:30 p.m. Dusk stretched shadows across lawns Michael once mowed weekly. She moved her iPhone aside, revealing Proust's quote scrawled on its case. Her youthful mantra, The real voyage consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. At 8:17 p.m., the doorbell sliced through grandfather clock ticks. Bill, who'd traded silver anniversary gifts for divorce papers, stood there in Brioni casual wear, reeking of new cologne and newer betrayals. Cindy collects vintage. Grandpa's pocket watch. Nancy cut him off. Her veins throbbed like live wires beneath age-spotted hands. $7,000 should cover our stupidity's headstone. Or shall we let Evan audit that Cypress 50K withdrawal? His face turned Longhorn Steakhouse bourbon glaze red. Bill produced a Tuscan leather wallet. Think money erases memories? No paper trail? She took the 50s he'd saved for their Alaskan cruise. Remember Michael, women keep better secrets, especially those willing to torch the life raft. Her gaze fell on blueprints for Litchfield Library, begun on their 20th anniversary, abandoned for guest bathroom wainscoting. When the BMW vanished, Nancy pressed her phone to ear, watching her foyer mirror self tremble with the realtor's pitch. Papers tomorrow. Yes, sell furnishings. No, the kids won't help move. Magnolia pollen clung to bay windows. She reached to close the sash, sending Nana's porcelain angel cascading from the mantel. Shattered wings glittered amid Waterford stemware and wedding vow shards. Nancy broke off freezer-burned bundt cake, 8 years preserved in frost. Sweet escape, she declared, flicking crumbs at Murano glass fish. The boxes multiplied like dandelions after spring rain. Cardboard, plastic, one still bearing the logo of that Johnny Walker Blue Label bottle Michael got for his last birthday as her husband. Nancy perched on the edge of the bed with a crate of watch bands in her lap. Leather, steel, gold-plated, each preserved the ghostly impression of her ex's wrist. She picked up the most weathered one, pressed it to her nose. The musk of old sweat mingled with bay oil she used to massage into his shoulders after tennis matches. The doorbell jerked her upright. 33 paintings in splintered frames, her graffiti collection smuggled from the garage. Careful, that's not IKEA furniture, she warned, watching the UPS guy's boot nudge a box labeled Banksy Boomer. Canvas peeked through torn cardboard like a mocking tongue. Nancy gripped her packing tape dispenser, imagining her anonymous art blog rattling in a truck bed between microwaves and Graco strollers. Burnt butter hung heavy in the kitchen. Avocado toast, that god-awful trend she'd never admit to trying, lay carbonized in the toaster. She dumped the blackened slices into the trash, narrowly missing her granddaughter's school photo at the bottom. Every cloud, she muttered, fishing her secret Oreo stash from beneath the sink. Her vintage MacBook chimed as she wiped crumbs off the keyboard. Sarah's face bloomed on screen, a sleep-deprived echo of her 1998 college graduation portrait. Mom, you're seriously moving to that Litchfield place? Her daughter stabbed a pen at the paperwork Nancy had FedExed overnight. They've got a library older than your master's degree. She angled the webcam toward the box containing Sarah's childhood anti-teddy bear, the stuffy that bit her during the terrible threes. Selling the house is gambling with... Gambling's preferable to rotting in one of your senior compounds. Pixelated silence stretched between them. Nancy sipped from her chipped World's Okayest Mom mug. The bitter Lipton tang transported her to Sarah's first clumsy attempts at tea-making. We're meeting with a Silver Horizons consultant Friday. Click, click went the retractable pen, same as when she confessed to breaking the Ming vase at 12. Nancy slammed her mug down. tea splattered the sales contract like amber beads. Tell your consultant retirement villages are lovely for people who think Joanna Gaines invented interior design. The screen died mid-sneer. Nancy unrolled blueprints faintly smelling of parchment and Windex, her finger tracing arches drafted after marital blowouts. "This curve needs a window," she whispered, sketching a line as bold as the alias on her graffiti blog. The moving truck arrived at dawn. Nancy hugged Bill's old Christmas robe tighter as crewmen swarmed her life into bubble-wrap cocoons. "Ma'am, sure you want to trash this?" A neck-tattooed kid gestured at the Chesterfield sofa. "Survived 2 divorces and a grandson's birth. Let it die with dignity." She watched the excavator's jaws crush tufted velvet when her phone buzzed. Litchfield area code. "Mrs. Carter? Martha from Colonial Kettle Cafe. Your barista application. This isn't some Gen Z prank." Nancy studied hands that once mastered 1980s espresso machines better than most millennials navigated apps. "Do you allow latte art resembling Frank Lloyd Wright blueprints?" A chuckle crackled through. "Come Thursday, fair warning, our head barista debates postmodernism like it's the Super Bowl." She dropped the phone onto magazines Michael called housewife landfill. The laugh tore from her throat. Rusty hinge meets unoiled pulley. Nancy grabbed the spray can hidden with winter coats and tagged the nearest box. "New beginnings. Fine wine in vinegar bottles." Sarah arrived at noon waving brochures for Lux Senior Living. "You can't even fix a doorknob without a man," she snapped, tripping over Nancy's vintage toolkit. "Window crawling burns calories." Nancy reached for her hammer, grazing a photo of them painting the porch. Michael flecked in periwinkle, toddler Sarah gumming a brush handle. "This midlife crisis'll bankrupt you." Better broke than retired in pink slippers listening to Beatles covers. She walked Sarah out, noting how the BMW tires dodged the asphalt patch she'd cemented herself, muttering about municipal incompetence. The final box held an heirloom dresser with hidden compartments. Beneath decades of dust lay Nancy's secret sketches, a nursery mural, an imagined sunroom. Her thumb brushed Evan calligraphed beneath cloud designs. Her 34-year-old son now favored Miesian minimalism, architecture she'd dubbed glass and steel sterility. Perched on her 60 suitcase, Nancy opened the crypto wallet her grandson gifted. "To the moon or Mars?" read the post-it beneath Bitcoin charts. She typed 7K, finger hovering over send. Sunlight glancing through Venetian glass fish cast rainbow pixels across the screen. "What's one more leap?" she breathed, clicking confirm like slot machine lever. The storage unit loomed at road's end. Nancy navigated switchbacks where she'd once taught Sarah to parallel park. Container Litchfield waited between rusted tractors and gilt Victorian mirrors. Her palm grazed the burled wood secretaire restored the night Michael first missed curfew. "All tags correct?" The attendant scratched his beard. Nancy scanned inventory sheets. Her breath hitched at crate number 113, personal artifacts. She'd labeled no such box. Dusk bled across corrugated steel. Inside the chilled warehouse, crate number 113 revealed a crocodile suitcase, decade's anniversary gift. Combination 10-15 released yellowed letters. 1998's postmark glared. Evan's birth year. "Dearest Michael, saw Sarah at the park today. She has your eyes." Nancy sank onto concrete, 15 letters spilling across her lap. The final envelope, 2013. 1 month pre-divorce. You're right. She deserves to know. Our children need truth. Incinerator hums vibrated the floor. Nancy crumpled stationery, fingers kneading phantom cookie dough. Her laughter ricocheted off steel. Master architect, more like blind mouse in others' mazes. Exit lights flickered. She stuffed evidence beside library plans. Tattooed neck blocked her path. Drop this. He offered a photo. Young Nancy at drafting table. Women belong on construction sites, not in kitchens poster behind. Thanks. Different century. What's this one? He rolled greasy sleeves up. Nancy unfolded blueprints for the library's new wing. Where Grandma's sketch tomorrow. The concrete floor's chill bit through her fall-weight jeans, but Nancy remained slumped against storage locker on 113. Letters lay pinned beneath her palms on her lap, as if they might scatter like startled pigeons. The incinerators hummed through the cinder block wall, pulsed like the clock in that OB-GYN waiting room 35 years ago, where she'd waited for pregnancy test results. A torn envelope corner grazed her wrist. She remembered suddenly the evening she'd first smelled Dior's poison on Michael's collar, back when the ads featured that model with blood-red lips. "You sure that's not much for an accountant?" she'd asked, adjusting his tie by their foyer mirror. His laugh vibrated against her temple. 2 years older than you, sweetheart." A mover's shout startled her. "Lady, you done? We're cutting power." Nancy crammed the letters into her tote beside blueprints whose estimates now seemed absurd. Passing locker 45, her shoe caught a box of porcelain dolls. Birthday gifts for every year of Sarah's childhood. Glass eyes accused her from tissue paper nests. "Looked like tiny corpses," she muttered, kicking the carton, the 1989 doll face planted on concrete. Nancy pocketed it impulsively, the mothball smell triggering memories of Grandma's hope chest, where she'd found Granddad's love letters at 10. "Men smuggle emotions like contraband," Mother had hissed, shredding onion skin pages. Rainless windshield wipers smeared grime across her blurry drive home. Pat Benatar's "Hit Me With Your Best Shot" crackled from the radio. She killed it mid-chorus, plastic knob snapping. "Better silence than the universe's cheap irony," she told the rear view. New scuff marks crossed her parquet floors. Movers' boot strikes trespassing on 30 years' solitude. At the fireplace, where she'd burned her diaries, Nancy opened the first envelope. MK initials matched her melted wedding band, now an eyeglass chain. "Michael, dear, Evan rolled over today. You'd be proud," but Nancy's eyes stayed glued to nursery plans. Her index finger found the scar from that night's compass slip, mid-labor contractions, sketching bassinet measurements. Sarah's voice cracked whip-sharp from the doorway. "Were you ever going to tell me? Or should I invoice you for storage unit alerts?" Nancy shielded letters with shelving blueprints. "How's Mr. 401k? Sold any artisanal coffins yet?" "Stop deflecting. The condo termination papers. Are you insane? Hurricane season's here." "Perfect time for fresh starts. You'd know, with your Weather Channel alerts." Stilettos click-tracked across hardwood. Sarah froze at the kitchen table. 2005's letter lay exposed beside a crayoned rainbow with 3 stick figures. Nancy palmed it. "Concept sketches? For a client." "Bullshit. Like when you hid divorce papers under my spelling bee trophies." The tossed sketchpad missed. Sarah grabbed the letter as drafting tools clattered, triangles, compasses, the past unraveling. Silence pooled like spilled varnish. Sarah read aloud, quavering, "Dearest Mike, Buried Mom today. Nancy skipped for wallpaper samples. Sometimes I think she sees people as—" Tears blotted the signature. E.M. Nancy's nails carved half-moons into her palms. "Monica, you're Monica Sharp, my 2003 renovation assistant? You knew all these—" "I didn't." The lie crumbled. Memory flashed. Brunette intern joking about her Turner's Madness red kitchen paint. That nursery, the drawing. Sarah upended a brush jar. "I had a sibling, and you just—" "Sarah, wait." "Wait for what? Another lie?" Keys struck Nancy's shoulder as Sarah fled, slamming the door hard enough to rattle built-in bookshelves. 3 days later, wind shoved an envelope through cracked glass. Nancy pocketed the 1989 doll with its fractured face. "Sorry," she whispered. "To whom, exactly?" By midnight, third brandy-lace tea, she'd sorted letters chronologically. 1998, Evan's birth. 2005, mother-in-law's funeral. 2012, the investor incident. Always jabs about her coldness, her blueprints obsession. She photographed each page under harsh task light, film whirring like rats in her first apartment's walls. The envelope addressed to Mr. Carter, personal, contained venomous legalese. Documents warrant revisiting our alimony agreement. The mailbox clanged shut. She imagined Michael opening it over breakfast with wife number 3, that secretary she'd once seen in an elevator, sporting a baby bump. History leaves scars like bad tattoos, she thought, spitting into rose bushes planted for special occasions. Dawn brought a raspy call from Litchfield Antiques. "The 17th century escritoires available. Bernstein's widow caved." 3-hour drive, flanked by lawn care ads urging mow like a monk before winter. The escritoire in question loomed like a Gothic confessional. "Mrs. Carter?" A woman in lace-trimmed sleeves gestured. "Rumor says it holds an Edgar Allan Poe letter." Nancy traced carved roses. "What's hidden matters more." Her voice echoed Michael's 2003 words, "You seek secrets in walls, not eyes." The dealer clicked a hidden latch. Drawer slides hissed, revealing letters tied with purple ribbon, her own handwriting. 1985. "Mike chose Daisy wallpaper. Would you?" 2001. "Love, words are wallpaper over bricked-up windows." She sank onto velvet, clutching pages she'd believed lost, stored with Sarah's baby clothes decades ago. Stolen? Hidden? Price. She reached for her wallet. The woman revealed a wall photo. Young Marjorie fixing a barn roof, baby in a pram nearby. "For you," one secret's cost. Her nail pried open wainscoting. Inside gleamed a trunk bearing the Carter crest. The trunk loomed ominously still, though basement dampness made its wood creak. Nancy ran her palm over the brass plaque bearing the family crest. Same scroll work as her wedding band, now melted into a keychain for her workshop keys. Her fingers found the hidden latch she'd known since childhood, Grandpa's trick for stashing brandy from Grandma. The lid popped open with a puff of lavender scent and mildew blueprints. On top lay her own letters to Michael, stacked neat as Sunday towels, the ones she kept in her dresser for inspiration until storing them forever after Sarah's wedding. Beneath, faded blue 1942 war bonds, improbably topped by a crumbling bridal bouquet. Desiccated roses disintegrated at her touch, exposing heart-shaped confetti from their silver anniversary. Nancy frowned at the velvet ribboned skeleton key in her palm, twin to her girlhood diary lock. A thud overhead made her jump. Marjorie stood in the doorway, clawed hand gripping a tack hammer. "Hit the road, sweet cheeks. Your daughter's making waves with the DuPont heiress." Nancy adjusted her readers, hiding trembling hands. "Your client with 4 ice chests in his pickup? Best skedaddle before I rethink your vendor cut." The old woman jabbed her hammer toward the window, where Sarah's silhouette multiplied between antiques shop mirrors, reflections warping like bad thoughts on a dreary Tuesday. Nancy tossed the key back, slamming the trunk. "Your secrets reek of brain mold." She shoved the chest onto a rickety dolly clattering like the A-train, jingling storage unit keys as she wheeled it out. Marjorie's wheezy chuckle followed her to the parking lot where Sarah stood, hip-cocked. Same pose as their '97 Christmas card. "Mom, if you think, get your bumper off my truck. Your last approved design was that god-awful Prada knockoff even shoplifters wouldn't touch." Sarah leaned against her driver door. "Family heirlooms? Mind if I check for my cut?" She reached for the trunk, but Nancy jerked the dolly back, making her stumble. "Your cut? Remind me who paid your law school tab after the coke-fueled Brown fiasco." Sarah's pupils narrowed. "Cute. Now explain Dad's fling with his Times editor during my freshman orientation." Nancy slammed the trunk. "Let's chat when you own up to Monica Sharp's birth certificate." They froze in silence, broken only by a deli fridge's hum. Sarah slowly produced a crumpled envelope. "Mom, these letters, all this time you thought I—" Nancy turned away, slamming her truck door. "Relax. 3 therapists still bill hourly to hear my parenting fails." The engine roared as Sarah tossed the envelope inside. From Grandma's hospice. Breath-fogged windows hid tears as Nancy reversed. Her rear view showed Sarah wiping her face and flashing their secret peace sign, same goofy gesture from middle school detentions. The drive home became a tunnel of streetlights like those midnight dashes to Mercy General, contractions 8 minutes apart. The envelope lay unopened, address scribbled in her mother's shaky final script. In her workshop, Nancy positioned the trunk beside her drafting table, past and present in uneasy truce. Turpentine tang mixed with yellowed paper as she poured Chardonnay into her world's okayest mom mug. The burn down her throat grounded her. The letter was dated 2005, a week after Mom's funeral. "Dear Nancy, if you're reading this, I've quit pretending we're both alive. Forgive me for not telling you about the emphysema, cowardice dressed as kindness. But watching nurses change my IV today, I realized you're still fighting Michael Jr.'s ghost." Nancy dropped her mug. Wine bled across blueprints, turning columns into crimson rivers. Her nails dug into the workbench edge, same grip she'd used clutching the ultrasound table where the monitor showed stillness. "Yes, I knew about the '83 miscarriage. Your father insisted on secrecy. Our child must be perfect as her designs, his words. But, darling, flaws make furniture, and people precious." Shattered glass rained as Nancy threw her mug. Shards hit Sarah's college move-in photo. All smiles, unaware Mom had spent orientation week Xanax numb. Michael's latest wife called at 4 a.m., syrup-voiced. "Nancy, darling, I'd like—" "Save the bullshine, Tammy Faye. Tell your husband his offshore piggy bank's about to crack." Her lawyer rang next. "Mrs. Carter, pre-dawn threats won't—" "Say Mrs. again, Martin, and your masseuse's text, headline glass door." Dial tone droned as Nancy unearthed a watercolor. Nursery plans with a boat-shaped crib. She'd know her own 8.3 swirly signature blindfolded. Same flourishes gracing contractor bids now. Dawn found her parsing medical bills. $1,460 surgery disguised as roof repairs. Michael's checkbooks bled Nevada clinic payments. Her rediscovered '05 journal entries, bleeding again, told Michael it's tulip allergies. Her phone buzzed with a blog alert. Photos of her restored secretary captioned, "Lost masterpiece or stolen goods." Comments piled accusations. Nancy snapped her fingers. Her Tailwind Solutions click. The paint cabinet slammed as she grabbed walnut stain. Her truck roared down Route 202 past Support Our Troops bumper stickers. The passenger seat held IRS penalties for early 401k withdrawal, now dubbed the Rolex Bastard File. Her pocket jingled with Monica's letters. The Salem gallery reeked of mothballs and pretension. The curator eyed her acid-washed jeans. "Our rebel restorer, please don't. Call your authenticator. Tick-tock till my libel suit." She slapped down 1823 secretary proofs. As experts muttered over documents, Nancy scrolled blog comments. An account with a Santa Cat avatar posted, "Your secretary's missing its secret. Check lower right corner." A coffee grinder's roar faded behind her thumping pulse. Soon she was flooring it home, elbow scraping the garage door. The secretary waited like a surgical patient. Nancy donned Grandpa's jeweler loop and crawled, tapping panels. Hollow thuds came from knee level. A fingernail released a tiny latch. The stuck drawer yielded to an engraving scalpel nicking her finger. Blood spotted the contents. A kid leather album. Page 1 dropped her to her knees. '80s Michael hugging pregnant Monica. Inscription, "Our Michelangelo. Hope Nancy forgives." Turning pages burned. First steps. Law school graduation. Wedding to a Sarah lookalike. Final photo. A man Nancy's age at a 2019 gravesite. Caption, "Rest well, son. Mom's always here." Michael's phone went to voicemail 7 times before Nancy launched the nuke. She blogged every scandal with "Our family secret sale," the kill shot, war bonds marked Michelangelo Carter Jr. Education Fund. He called 12 minutes later, voice crumbling, "You crazy bitch. Thank me for withholding the '99 office party video. TMZ might still bid." He coughed wetly. "The boy, he wasn't—" "Don't flatter your swimmers, dear. Check email." The DNA test proving non-paternity glowed on screen. A glass shattered his end. "Monica, tell wifey 3 her alimony's fraud. See my lawyer Tuesday." Smashing an antique case, Nancy boxed shards in a pizza carton. "Art project," she told Phantom Sarah, unsure if she's building a prison for ghosts or a porch light for truth. 3 a.m. brought Marjorie pounding her shop door, suitcase bursting with Reader's Digests. "You need this." She tossed a hospice file. "Payment? Trash my trunk portrait." Page 1, psychiatric notes. Patient denies 83 trauma, blames spouse. Page 2, Sarah's 2007 therapy bill, identity crisis. Page 3, NICU photo. Baby boy Carter. Nancy's desk lamp yellowed the final page. At bottom trembled her own signature, signing away adoption rights. Nancy dropped the folder onto the workbench, where the strip of light from the desk lamp trembled like her hands. The signature screamed from the paper, those same squiggles she'd practiced in her notebook after graduation. Adoption consent form, May 12th, 1983. The date matched the miscarriage nobody was supposed to know about, except her mother. Marjorie snapped open the suitcase latch, pulling out a bourbon bottle with a Nevada motel sticker. "Your mother paid for silence 20 years. I'm just passing the torch." She poured into a thermos lid. "Barista at La Vie Latte put $500 on you fleeing back to Hartford by Christmas. Nancy grabbed the nearest tool, a chisel with serrated edges. "How much did you pocket from blackmailing Sarah? Cover those meth-mouthed teeth or need my bones for bridge work?" Marjorie downed the shot without blinking. "Your daughter hired a PI instead of buying that Fendi purse. Check the photos on your BV Elgari price tags." Her kick to the trunk dislodged a charred miniature album. Nancy's pulse throbbed in her temples as she studied the childhood photo. A boy in knit booties she'd spent 6 months picking from American Baby. Her mother's script on the back, Mishka, adopted June 14, 1983 by Schroeder family, Ohio. Her stomach clenched like shrimp allergy night. The phone buzzed beneath velvet scraps. Sarah's text glowed. "Dad's lawyers want meeting. Call before you screw up again." Nancy hurled it into the varnish jar, watching the screen die under amber sludge. The wallpaper scraper became a weapon. She gutted the design wall until Sarah's childhood scribbles emerged beneath "Mom," with a backwards W broken crayons mingled with mug shards, as Nancy collapsed, album corner stabbing her ribs. At 3 a.m., sirens woke her. Red lights strobed across the cop at her door. "Mrs. Carter, your blog's hacked. Someone leaked attorney emails." She studied his brow's identical arch to the 1984 photo boy. Nancy swallowed hard. "You're my son's age." The words escaped louder than planned. The officer stepped back, flashlight clattering. "Ma'am, you need—" She slammed the door, forehead against cold glass. The trunk breathed remembered betrayals in the dark. Her hand found her mother's pill stash, Xanax, Valium, expired antidepressant scripts, lavender for sleep, bitters for courage, her mother had said, pouring cognac. Nancy crushed pills with a rolling pin, mixing them into wood stain. The brush trembled, painting. Every secret's another nail in the coffin. On the wall, Dawn found her messaging, Michelangelo 84. His text burned. Peddling family secrets like flea market junk? Disgraceful. Nancy replied with Grandpa's 1890 Colt photo. "Relics stayed dead or stayed true. Tell Daddy." The truck door slam echoed her heartbeat. The engine coughed. She'd forgotten gas after the paint run. Nancy kicked the tire, stomping through Litchfield's CT streets with fists jammed in her paint-splattered jacket. At Ted's Comeback Cafe, a waitress handed a napkin. "That guy said, 'Give you this.'" A family tree connected her to Michelangelo Schroeder via dotted line. Postscript, "Come to Istanbul, or burn this, M." Nancy ordered espresso whiskey in a diner mug, watching liquid swirl. Her fingers dialed Michael's landline from an old Rolodex. A child answered, "Grandpa's teaching me chess." She hung up like touching a hot stove. Biscotti crumbs stuck to shaking hands, rereading the diagram. Michelangelo Schroeder blurred with the cafe's sign. Nostalgia Special, Greek yogurt and memory lane. Standing, she jostled a retired twins table. 40 years married and she runs like a scalded cat. One snorted while the other buttered toast. Nancy tossed a 50. Buy a vibrator. Better legacy project. Marjorie waited at the studio with earplugs. Your daughter changed Hartford house locks. Wants historic vinyl windows. Returning the 2003 key copies then? Nancy pried off the Carter Studio sign with a crowbar. Tell her, list that house and I'll eBay Granny's silverware at 90% off. Inside, the air hummed with shed blueprints. Each staircase curve now echoed a child's smile from lost photos. The gaping trunk spilled Mother's clinic letters about discreet service for respectable clients. The TV blared on its own, Sarah on news praising preserving heirlooms through litigation. Nancy threw the safe key, shattering the screen over Sarah's wrist tattoo. Midnight brought a Turkish ringtone. I'm not Michelangelo. The accent thickened. Renamed Daniel when I learned about my adoption yacht's secret compartment. They breathed through 3 red-lit minutes from the dismantled hutch clock. Daniel broke first. You could call me Danny if... How'd the wife take it? Nancy interrupted, sweeping Ming vase fragments. Maldives photo. Your spray tan matches her fake Hermes. Heavier breathing. Dad'll sue for defamation, but we could... He paused at her lighter click near Michael's letters. Wood grain lies, she whispered, flaming the crib blueprint. Oak doesn't weep when cut. Mother should. Flames licked the ceiling as Sarah burst in. Gone full psycho now? She stomped emails with Louboutins, leaving soot on stained glass designs. Nancy watched her battle fire with overpriced mineral water. When'd you buy that Fifth Avenue condo? Daddy's card or yours? Sarah froze mid-stomp. Mom, Danny, he contacted Jake's tutor. Her voice cracked like fifth-grade playgrounds. Thought maybe he had... Order a Costco DNA kit, get free cookie coupon. Nancy opened the hutch's false bottom, spilling a 1985 passport. Michelle Carter. My insurance policy. Bedtime story material? Sarah reached, but Nancy torched it. My Michelangelo died long ago, like we all do. She drew curtains over library plans now charcoal-riddled. Fire truck horns drowned Daniel's call. Nancy stood in ash, clutching the NYC storage key, box 417's lavender letters from Mother. Sarah touched her elbow, a gesture abandoned after college. Maybe we go somewhere, museum, or visit Grandpa's hospital. He's teaching chess, apparently. Nancy adjusted her ash-dusted scarf. Though, is that carnival still standing? Where the merry-go-round broke in '92, the U-Haul horn cut morning air leaving Litchfield. The trunk creaked new secrets behind them. Nancy cranked Stairway to Heaven louder than asthma allowed. Sarah studied cigarette burns on the door handle. The rear-view mirror framed her gallery's empty windows, reflecting a Dollar General truck. In the fractured glass, Nancy imagined a boy with an album, not child nor stranger, just a cloud shadow over everything that might have been.